Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long goes 1975. A using girls on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends used to bug. Long goes 1975.
Welcome to another ZX Spectrum versus Commodore 64 comparison video. In this video I'll be taking a look at Critical Mass by Durell, because I'm still working my way through the Durell games on the ZX Spectrum and the Commodore 64. But you probably already knew that because this is a Playground Wars video, and check it out. This was released in 85 on the Spectrum, Amstrad and Commodore. And yet, check it out, Durell are still absolutely going hammer and nail at stopping or trying to stop people from pirating their games. But it was the 80s, so we all know how that played out. Anyway, a critical mass is basically the smallest amount of fissile material needed for sustained nuclear chain reaction, according to that bastion of truth that is Wikipedia. But that makes sense when I tell you what the plot of the game is. But this game, when I looked up information about it for the purpose of this video, because my brother did have this back in the day, it came in one of those lovely plastic clam shell cases that the Spectrum, my version of Saboteur did as well. I love those cases, they're absolutely fantastic, and the cassettes were blue. But yeah, my brother had it, and I remember thinking it was really rather quite impressive, but not really having any Scooby whatsoever of what to do, and it being balls-horrifically hard in the sense of everything tried to kill you, but also balls-horrifically hard in actually trying to control your craft because you're like a hovercraft. This game got released in North America. I did not know that. I'm assuming that means on the Commodore 64 and not the ZX Spectrum, because there was no Spectrum in North America. Well, there was the Timex, but that was incompatible with European software. So yeah, guessing it was called, it was yeah, on the Commodore 64 in North America, and that's where it was called Power. So basically, there's a power station, an antimatter power station, and it's on an asteroid, and some hostile aliens have taken it over, and they're trying to overload the power station, so it blows up, creates a black hole, sucks in the nearest planet with you on, or something, or your base, and a whole bunch of stars around it. So you have to make it to this power station. It's completely and utterly defended by aliens, and take it out. And so yeah, you're in a hovercraft, and you can either play it with keys or a joystick. They recommend, well, we'll see that, at least on the Commodore they recommend playing it on joystick, because they say it's keys first, because it's very fiddly, because it's got vector controls, which I think basically means that when you press up, the more you press up the faster you go, the more you press down the slower you go. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, listen to this 48K goodness being a very strong descriptive term. But hey, at least it's got music. It's also got a god-awful font and god-awful colour selection that makes it rather difficult to read, but that's painful. Enter. Right, 1, keyboard, 2, Kempston. Shall I play it on Kempston for the purpose of being fair, because I'll be playing the Commodore 64 version, which will be on my C64 Mini on joystick as well. So I think that answers that question with a yes. Thank you. Right, skill levels. Ooh, there better be a piss easy skill level. Hard, medium, easy. So what does it start you on by default? Apologies for the background noise, but this is a 48K game only. Right, so we're on easy, 0 start. Excuse me, critical mass, you know, radiation that shit gives me a gacky throat. Time ticking down on the bottom right. To the left, that is an arrow which tells you where to go, I believe, and then to the left of that is my health. That's my base. I like the fact that it very slowly takes me to my base, but the time still ticks down. I've got a gun. Do I go where the arrow goes? No, the arrow moves. My points are going up because I'm shooting stuff. But what does that mean? Did it, what, it blew up already? Mission fail. Okay, right, what? So what do I do? I've got a feeling that that arrow is not giving me a destination to fly to of said power station. It's actually just pointing at the nearest alien. Alright, can I skip that? You have a high... Do my bollocks. Thank you. Clunky. Right. So let's try that again. Right, so I'm going to immediately just gun it after I wait for me to very slowly get to my craft. Now, if you blow up, you get reduced to being a little bloke in a jetpack, in which case you have to find another craft and get into it. Right, I'm going this way. Right, the momentum is insane. It's nice graphics, it's nice 3D graphics. Whoa. But, yeah, so it is vector, whatever that means. Yeah, don't take your finger off accelerate to well, basically just grind to a halt. Otherwise known as not accelerate. So I'm a little man. I'm a wee little man. Right. Oh, fuck off big worms from Doom, whatever they're called. Right, I gotta go up. It's like it doesn't actually rotate 360 degrees. It goes in diagonals. That's a bit shit. New craft, please. Doesn't take a lot to blow up your craft, does it? And of course, avoiding shit is very difficult. I'm just gonna nurse the throttle. Like I said, it's nice, you know, 3D, isometric 3D when I say 3D graphics. But, I mean, the environment's a bit sparse. It's quite smooth. I mean, there's not a massive amount going on. The controls are just... Look how quickly my health goes down. Oh, no you don't. So the arrow is pointless. It's just telling where the nearest enemy is. But they're not who I want to fight. I want to find a power base. Oh, I can go over those because they're holes. Don't need to be... But not that. Don't need to be scared of them. This is brutally hard. Hey... Okay, I'm dead. This is fucking too hard. I'm 2 games in and I can tell you, this is too hard. And the sound is awful. Oh wait, what happened? No, I'm not dead, because my health is halfway. I've gone into a different area, I believe. Oh, enemy craft. Are we near the base then? Okay, that's cool. They've mixed it up straight away. It's still brutally hard. No, piss off. So do you travel a certain amount, a finite amount, I should say, in a certain direction, and then it changes colour to indicate a new, you know, area of the game map? Piss off. Right. So, well, aliens have hovercrafts just like me. Okay, we'll see. What does that mean? Am I dead? No, I'm not dead. Because look, there's still time left. Score going up. 4 action pods. I guess that's my lives. It's... I don't remember it being like this. I just remember it being yellow as a kid. But to be fair, that was 40 years ago. Do you like your little jet? Oh shit. Considering there's a time, the fact that you can't actually fully gun it because you will literally just fly into shit and not be able to avoid it seems a bit unfair. It is helplessly difficult to control. To be fair then, that makes it incredibly accurate for a hovercraft. One of my flatmates in the early noughties, hate that phrase, had a hovercraft. They were great fun. We used to take it out at Western Supermare on the beach and at low tide. But basically it was a case of you driving it and then round about 1.5 miles before you wanted to, you know, or 1.5 miles before where you wanted to get to in the craft was when you had to start turning, right? It's weird. This little floaty man does not rotate properly. Look, see? Or that way. Piss off, worm dude. There we go. I've got no fire. Is that a... What is that underneath my pod? I think it's just a... Well, it was a bad spawn of an enemy. It was spawned in my pod. Awkward. Right, so, what do I think of this? I think it's certainly not as good as I remember. It looks alright. I mean, it's, well, to be fair, it's quite sparse. The controls, specifically on your little man, are crap, because I would like rotate. You're giving me rotate for the hovercraft. Why can't I have full rotate for my little man? Ow. There we go. Yeah, so look, you know, it looks nice. It is sparse. I don't really have a clue what to do with the colours. I mean, I assume that means I just progress further across the map. I mean, without reading the instructions what actually came with it, I didn't look it up on Wikipedia, so that's probably my fault. See, look, craft can rotate fully. Yeah. I'm not altogether sure how I progress. That's a pod that I've already depleted then, presumably. So, that would be my lives. They're lives, aren't they? Oh! You get, sorry, Winnie Pops, horrifically destroyed, you know, health-wise, in a matter of seconds. It's very unfair because you can go so fast, but... Oh, can I have that? But, ultimately, you don't get to use it because you're just going to smash into shit. Little man's controls are fucking awful. Can't get into that. I reckon he's going to come alive. The minute I get a new ship. So, I don't know, ambitious? I don't know if I say it's ambitious. I say someone watched a lot of, or read a lot of Doom. Quite looking forward to the new movie of that. Right, but it's just too hard. I mean, Durell games were quite hard in general, but at least you kind of always knew what you had to do, apart from Fat Worm blows to Sparky. But I don't really know what I've got to do in this, unless all of a sudden if I just keep going forward and then you know, go through zones like that. I hate it when they do red on Spectrum games. And look at that font in colour. Right. Does this mean no? Because it's red background on red on a yellow background where it was originally black on a fuck off yellow background. So I am clearly in a new area. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I played a lot of games and I love Durell's catalogue. Not so much loving this, and I haven't even played the Commodore 64 version yet. Was that a pod above me, even though my arrow... Does it make me go to them in a certain order? And then, once this one's blown up, because it will be blown up, I go to the one that you saw when I was on my way down. Shah. It was a bit of attribute clash. It's 48k, so obviously sound is limited. Fuck off! Would you see that? Oh, I don't like this. This game's rubbish. I don't know if I want to be bothered to do the Commodore 64 bit now, but I must push on. I must push on because it's a Spectrum comparison video. Right. Something, 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 mission failed, shit happened, black hole and stuff like that. Great movie by Disney, by the way. Skip, 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 skip to the end. Skip. Enter. I want to hide my shame. Let's have a go on keyboard. 1, 2, 3. Right. Fire. Thrust. Left. Right. And then 0. Skip, skip, skip. Skip to the end. Right, let's see if it's any easier to control on an actual keyboard and not a Wiimote turned sideways. No, but it still suffers from the same problem. Fierce acceleration. So I think I died the first time round, or did I? And it just took me to another coloured screen area. I don't know, I couldn't read the screen because of how garish it was. It doesn't feel like sometimes you're progressing, you know, in the direct. Oh, see what I mean? You're aiming for, but there might be a lack of, you know, landmarks and shit. It's background graphics, I should say, landmarks. So it gives you an indication of where you're actually going. Do I regenerate? I regenerate! Which makes bugger all difference because of how quickly it goes down. And how slowly it goes up. And I'm dead. Well, there you go. Critical mass on the ZX Spectrum. Let's have a look at the Commodore 64 version. And here we go with critical mass on the Commodore 64 version. This is the start screen. So what does it say? It says hints for beginners with critical mass. The joystick gives very sensitive control of the vehicle. No shit. Mind you, that was the Spectrum version. You may find it initially that it is easier to play using the keyboard. I did not, but that was the Spectrum version. When you are using the emergency jetpack to reach a replacement vehicle, fire the rockets in short bursts. Keep moving steadily, but not too fast. Alright, yeah, thanks for that. Right, well, we got Sid Chip Goodness. And it's actually the same tune as the ZX Spectrum version. Who knew? Skill level 1 to 5. Spoilers! I'm going with 1. Right, by the way, I'm doing this with a virtual keyboard, so if it sounds like the music is all over the shop, it's because I'm editing out the virtual keyboard, because it takes you out of the gameplay. But to be fair, the music on this it sounds like someone's dropped a note, or a tune, or, well, didn't tune it, I should say. It sounds shit for the SID chip, shall I say. Right, select vehicle type, normal or vectored flight. I'm going to go with normal, which means I'm assuming that we just travel at a very specific speed or average speed, or I don't know. Let's just go with normal because it was obviously vectored, I guess, on the Spectrum version. Hit return to start mission. Right, time to critical mass, 12 hours. Attack phase, alright. Okay, well, your bad guys are different. They die different in the sense that they do actually die. They don't just shrink. Your ship's smaller, not as detailed. It is coloured, it's quite nicely coloured, apart from, once again, they seem to have, a lot of Commodore games have a big woody for brown. Oh, all my information is in the bottom left hand corner of the screen. There's no arrow telling me which way to go or which way the main base is. I'm going to go from left to right. I don't like my laser being like that. Oh, critical mass. Times critical mass. So it's doing the same sort of thing it did on the Spectrum. I've gone a zone over. Oh. Oh, these are the enemies from the first one. Okay, so there's more stuff now in the background. Oh. Don't seem to be quite as brutal as the Spectrum, but then I'm a smaller craft, aren't I? I'm not saying it's not brutal, it's just not as brutal. Right, so you can still hit them even when they're tiny. Like then. It's too hard for its own good. And they can lock on, apparently. I had to scratch my eye, which is not a good idea when you're moving a game like this. It's slightly more forgiving in the sense that you can hit a few more things without immediately blowing up. And also, it seems to be less shit. Well, no, I guess it's about equal. Maybe it's just because my craft is equal. How do I avoid those fuckers? Right. Oh, I'm running. I don't like the one, you know, laser beam effect. I like the the continuous beam. Like a Star Trek phaser, if you will, from the Spectrum version. But at least we've got proper sound effects on this. I do like the fact that they properly blow up as well. It's regen my health. Does my health go back up? It's still a shooting gallery of pinball when you hit something. And a pain in the ass when it starts you between stuff like it did there. I still don't really feel like I've got a clue what I'm doing. I mean, how many zones do I have to go through? And also, do I even know I'm going in the right direction? Like, once you do or do I have to achieve something in each specific zone? Because all the instructions said were blow up the power station. But then, aren't we going to cause the critical mass then? I don't know. It's all very complicated. I'll tell you what it is, though, equally on both versions, not a particularly fun game. Which is weird, because all the Durell stuff I've played up to this point, and a couple that I haven't, but I do remember playing, and have played, but haven't made videos of, were always fun. this is just frustrating and brutally hard and flawed, I feel. See? Like half the stuff you can't avoid, some of it you shoot, but it still hurts you. Tight controls are brutal. Alright, I've lost 4 hours already. Oh look, little craft. So, you know, it is essentially exactly the same game on both versions. I mean, I'm sure people are going to say this one looks better and I'm a fanboy, but I personally think, I mean, this has got nice colour, better sound, even though it's still incredibly limited for a Commodore game. It's more forgiving than the Spectrum, but not much, and that's not really saying anything. I just prefer the bigger sprites and the fact that they're more detailed on the Spectrum, but then having said that, this is smoother, I can admit that. They are both essentially the same game, and they both suffer from the same faults. Like they're very hard to control. Brutal, although it's more forgiving on the Commodore, but you know, you twat stuff, and then I haven't had to get out of my ship yet. Oh, yeah, you twat stuff and then you pinball around. Oh, yeah, your health is not much of a bastard on that one, but yeah, it's not particularly fun. It's just not particularly fun. Oh, why has he got a bigger gun than me? And why does he look like Cup from Transformers? Shit! Oh, bollocks. I've just, you know, resigned myself to the fact that there's going to be a fuck off big black hole. It's alright, we'll go into it like the Disney movie. You know, we see some weird shit, we'll have a bit of a trip and stuff like that, and then we'll come out the other end and we'll see angels. You know, because we're not going to stop it. Just accept it. Oh look, my health's gone back up. I'm fine. I like this diagonal route. I suppose I should damage myself, because it seems that I can kind of avoid. This is a really big zone though. Yeah, can avoid excuse me, bad guys enough to not have to get another craft, but I want to kind of see if you do. Which, to be fair, was not me even trying to crash then, but the controls lend themselves really rather well to you crashing. There we go. Look, you can see it struggling there, that it wants to go up quicker. Little man. Right, well he rotates. Oh, arrow now. Right, well he's certainly better looking and easier to control than the Spectrum. Oh, no. They're cheats. It's wherever you land, it's where they appear. And they're taking my health, but there's no sound effect. I'm assuming I got to touch that. What? So it's easier in the car, but harder as a little floating man. And I'm not really noticing any difference between normal and vectored. Oh, alright, okay. I think I prefer my dome on the Spectrum version. But there you go. Right. No! What a horrible noise. Boo boo! Shizen balls. So yeah, ultimately, I don't know what I'm doing. That's probably my fault, not the game's fault, but I had to play it because it's a Durell game. But I'm going to round up now. Basically, they're both crap, is what they are. They are the same game. One is slightly more forgiving than the other, this one. One is slightly smoother than the other, this one. While this has colour, the Spectrum sprite's bigger and better. I prefer them. I like the more detail. I'm just running. See, can I get out of the zone like this? But I don't really know what I've got to do, where I've got to go. If you put your foot all the way down, you just bounce around. It's inevitable that you will hit something. Trying to get out of the way of stuff, particularly on the Spectrum, seems incredibly difficult. Your energy on the Commodore's alright, on the Spectrum it's brutal. I would say, I think Spectrum looks better, I think the Commodore plays slightly better, but basically they're both crap. I'm a little, actually quite disappointed, because Durell has been hitting them out of the park up to this point. Anyway, as always, I'd love to know what you think, especially you had this back in the day and played it. Where am I going wrong? Is it in fact incredibly easy, or is it outright frustrating and as dull as it's been while I've been playing it here? Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.